Hey guys, welcome back to 1776 or Bust. So today we're going to do a video on a gun that you guys all know and love because you know I love these guns. But this is the Steyr M9A2. The only difference is with this one, you're going to notice that there's an FDE colored slide with now a Holosun 507K on top of it. With that said, this has been done professionally by a company called Fabricated Arms out of Virginia. And I actually reached out to them trying to see if they'd be willing to do something with this Steyr because everybody knows it's whoever has owned this gun. It's a great gun, fantastic gun. I love the gun. The problem is it's not a lot of accessibility to aftermarket components or aftermarket support. With that said, I went and contacted him, reached out. He said he would love to do something for the Steyr. I actually wound up getting his name through a Steyr forum, and that's when I sent it out to him. It got it back very quickly, probably within a week. And it looks like it works pretty well. So today are going to be the first shots of this gun. We're going to see how it works, make sure it functions perfectly, and then we'll go back to the table and take a look at it a little bit closer. So let's get some first shots in. Can't even tell you if this dot has been zeroed because I don't think it has been, but we're going to find out right now. Oh. So let's take a look. I think it's shooting a little bit low, so let's go out and look, see what's going on. Definitely shooting a little bit low. I took a couple of shots right there, but you definitely heard the steel ringing, so not too bad. Gotta say, I'm really digging this. Got a low. I feel like I got to raise it out just a little bit because with the Steyr's angle of shooting, it's definitely an interesting angle because of the fact that you really do have to break your wrist down a little bit. But so far, functioning pretty damn good. So we're gonna take a couple more magazines. So far, so good. I mean, there's not much to say about it. The optic zeroing, I gotta get a little better at. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like my zero is off and you know, that's obviously that's on me. That's not on the gun. But I think overall, it seems like it's pretty good. Let's find out. Not going in the battery. No. Man, what the fuck is going on with this? Unsuccessful. Not good. Not good. Fuck. Not good. So we're going to shoot. I actually loaded the magazine with about 8 rounds in both mags to see if that'll help the situation. So we'll see. I will tell you, man, it's hot as hell out here right now. So I'm sweating bullets, which is good. But it still sucks. Here we go. All right, so flawless 8 rounds. So that's a good thing. So that's getting to tell me that maybe it is only going to be good with 8 rounds. All right, so it looks like right now, unfortunately, 8 rounds seems to be the only way this is going to work too well for me. So that's kind of a downside of this. I am sweating like a pig, but it's a good sweat. So right now, the gun seems to be working really fine. There's no malfunctions that are gun related to the slide being cut. It is absolutely 1000% the magazines. As a matter of fact, when I'm loading the magazine, you can actually hear the spring kind of almost like second guess itself when it's compressing down. So in my opinion, it's probably a burr inside the actual magazine that's not allowing that spring to decompress. So that's what's causing the slide lock up, which kind of sucks, but like I said, we'll figure it out. So this magazine here is loaded with 7. This magazine is loaded with 7. This one's going to be loaded with 8. So we're going to see how they work. I mean, so far, once I go past the magic number of 8, they're not functioning properly. And like I said, I think it's because there's a burr from where it was pinned. So I may have to go in there and sand that down a little bit in order to make that function correctly, which is, you know, kind of a shitty thing, but, you know, those are the things you got to do when you live in. I mean, the gun is functioning great. The dot seems to be pretty good. I suck at shooting dots, so that's probably why they're a little. Yep, that's it. So overall, the gun is functioning great. I've been running it. I lubed it up pretty good, so everything seems to be functioning really well, and I can't complain. They did a great job. The dot is on, has not come loose at all, which is great. Overall, super happy. It has kind of breathed a new life into the Steyr series, in my opinion. So I would definitely check this guy out, man. He seems to be doing some really great work, and man, I am absolutely in love with this gun. It's such an accurate, low recoiling handgun. Great ergos, you name it. It's hard to complain about the Steyrs, but let's go to the table and let's finish it up.
Channel, and as you see on the table here, you have the Steyr M9A2. Now, this one's kind of unique because of the fact that you see an optic on the gun. For those of you out there who love this gun, as I do, you're going to know that one of the biggest flaws is the fact that they redesigned the old M9s, but they never really took into account the optic market. You know, I mean, it's huge right now. Every single gun that is coming out obviously has an optic cut on it. And there are a lot of people out there who will say, if it doesn't have an optic cut, then it's not really worth getting. I don't know if I buy into that. I mean, I like having an optic cut, but I just like having the option if I want to use it or not. So in this case, when I wanted to, reach out to somebody, I reached out to a company called Fabricated Arms, and I asked them if they'd be willing to cut the slide. I wound up getting the information off of a Steyr forum, and people were asking the question, you know, does anybody out there know if somebody will, cut one of these? And their name kept coming up. Somebody had showed the line, and I wanted to do a review on the gun once the slide was cut. I did get a slight discount, so I sent the slide in. It took probably about maybe a week and a half to do the work and get the gun back to me. So it was a very quick, easy process, and I have to say I really appreciated that because, sometimes you send it out, and they have a schedule of work that they want to do, and then it takes them a month to get it back to you. This was back to me within 2 weeks. I did supply my own optic, which you guys can see here. This is the 507K. This is the green. And actually, I think it's a red. I can't even remember. Yep, it's a red. And, it fits the slide really well, as you guys can see. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the slide off so you can see a little bit better. But as you guys can see, the fit is, in my opinion, perfect on the slide. You could get a bigger slide, or a bigger optic, but then it's going to hang off the sides here. And as you guys can see, it is just barely squeaking on that. And I have to say, it looks really good. It's on straight, which is obviously a plus. And then obviously you pay for the extra Cerakoting of the slide, which I got in the Magpul FDE, which I thought would actually go good with the supposed OD green frame. It's more like I guess it really is OD because it is an olive color, but you can see that it resembles the colors pretty fairly similarly on camera. Now, I did shoot it, and as you saw in the video, that it was a lot of fun to shoot. I mean, this gun is such a low recoiling firearm to begin with, but just having the added dot on it, it just allows you to just shoot this gun even more accurately. With that said, I will say to you, and full disclosure, I was having several issues with the gun. This, however, was not driven by the optic. Unfortunately, because I live in the crappy state of New York, every magazine I get, if it is not a 10-round magazine, has to be adjusted for it. In this case, what they do in my local gun shop is they actually pin the magazine, and sometimes, depending who does it, they do a really good job, and sometimes they do a lousy job. So in this case with these magazines, because I have not run this gun very much, what I've noticed was that I could only get 8 rounds in the magazine without it having some form of failure to feed. Now, some people might be skeptical to say, well, it has something to do with the optic, and I assure you it does not. The optic is not touching any internal components whatsoever. The screws are not coming all the way down and blocking anything whatsoever regarding the ejector. You can see that the ejector, where the optic is cut, it is not interfering with the ejector whatsoever. There should really be nothing going on with the slide reciprocating because the weight is not really much different. So some might say, well, it's definitely a spring issue, but it is not. I guarantee you what it is because I did take this gun out twice to shoot it just to kind of work some, ideas what I thought it was. Every time I tried to load the magazine to 10 rounds, that's when I was getting the jams in the slide. However, when I reduced it to 8 rounds, flawless, no issues whatsoever. So what I surmised in regards to the magazine, which I pulled apart, was when they dimpled the magazine, they dimpled it too far. So unfortunately, when the spring is going down, it's getting jammed on that dimple. And when it goes down too far, it doesn't have the ability to spring back fast enough to feed the round effectively. So that kind of sucks for me, because currently I have an M9A2 that has capacity for 8 rounds, which sucks because, 10 rounds is bad enough. But unfortunately, that's where I'm at. So I'm going to probably wind up grinding it out a little bit just to get rid of that dimple on the internal part of it. That way it's still a compliant magazine in New York State, but at the same time, it gives me the opportunity to run 10 rounds efficiently through it. Overall, the sight picture is very good. And I will tell you right off the bat that if you want to do this for your Steyr, I highly recommend it because it does make a difference. It is such an easy gun to shoot to begin with, and this just makes it much easier and a lot more fun. I would definitely say, though, however, the one caveat to this and the one downside is if you are a big fan of any type of, co-witnessing, you're not going to get that from this gun. While the slide is cut pretty low, you guys know that the Steyr slide is very low to begin with. The co-witnessing is just taken away. There's no way really to co-witness it. You might be able to get maybe just a barely tip of that triangle, but that's about it. And that's barely. So you're going to lose co-witnessing. As far as I know, there is no one out there that makes anything for this gun in regards to sights that are, raised for suppressors or for any type of optic capability. So that's kind of a crappy thing. I mean, overall, the fit and finish of the work was excellent. Everything's situated very nicely. The optic did not move, kept it 0. The cuts in the slide are done very, very nicely. I mean, it just fits perfectly. You have a little bit of an abutment in the back and also in the front, so it should sit pretty solid on there. And of course, it's a direct fit, so you don't have to worry about any plates moving or any of that other nonsense. Again, as I said, you could see that the extractor here is not at all being, played with in regards to its functionality of it. And everything seems to operate perfectly. I mean, the slide locks back with no issues. Everything works. There's no hang-ups on the slide. There's really nothing. One of the things I would say is that, to me, if you guys have full capacity magazines, which I do not, I would highly recommend doing this to your Steyr because it really does make it a much more modern firearm. And that's always been the downside. I mean, this is a fantastic firearm, but for Steyr to never have come out with an optic version in 2024 is kind of stupid. Let's be honest. It really is. With that said, do I recommend doing this to your firearm? Yeah. I mean, if you got a couple $100 and you love the Steyr brand, to me, this is a no-brainer, and I highly recommend it because it works really well. So leave some comments down below. Tell me what you guys think about something like this. Would you be willing to do this to your Steyr, or does this kind of now, I guess, bring the Steyr into the 21st century finally? Overall, it's a great gun. You're not going to find too much aftermarket stuff for this bad boy, but at the same time, just to have this capability to do something like this, I think is a game changer for this particular model. Keep in mind, if you are also looking for holsters, guess what? This comes from the Armsman. You can see that the holster fits perfectly because it's designed for the M9A2, and it fits like a glove. You also know that it is cut for an optic cut, which is even better, even though there is nothing standard with it. But I would recommend this combination because so far you're not going to find any other holsters out there, in my opinion, that have made this well for a Steyr. And more importantly, it's already cut for the optic. So leave some comments down below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. I think it's going to be interesting comments. But I do love this gun, and it really does make me feel like the Steyr is probably still one of the best striker-fired handguns on the market, albeit there's not a lot of, market for it. I still think, if Steyr would have just done this a little bit better, this gun would have knocked the socks off of everybody because it's such a great gun. So again, I hope you guys have a great night. Stay safe, and as always, everyone, freedom is never free.